Europe is facing one of the most defining moments in its modern political history. As tensions grow between the United States and China, as the war in Ukraine reshapes European security, and as global alliances shift under economic and military pressure, the European Union finds itself in a delicate position, balancing power, protecting interests, and redefining its global role. This is no longer just about diplomacy. This is about strategic survival. For decades, Europe relied heavily on the United States for security through NATO. At the same time, it expanded trade relations with China. And even after 2014, it remained economically connected to Russia, especially in energy. But today, that balancing act is becoming harder. The Ukraine war changed Europe's security calculations. Energy dependence on Russia became a vulnerability. Meanwhile, competition between Washington and Beijing is forcing allies to choose sides. The EU now faces a pressing question. Can Europe remain strategically autonomous, or will it be pulled deeper into global power blocks? The United States remains Europe's strongest military ally. But recent political uncertainty in Washington has raised concerns among European leaders. Questions are being asked. Will U.S. support for NATO remain consistent? Will America reduce military presence in Europe? Could future administrations shift priorities toward Asia? Some EU leaders are now pushing for greater European defense capability. Discussions include increasing defense budgets, expanding EU joint military procurement, and reducing dependency on U.S. weapons systems. This is not about replacing NATO, but about preparing for uncertainty. Strategic autonomy is becoming more than a slogan. It is becoming policy. Russia remains Europe's most immediate security concern. The war in Ukraine has fundamentally reshaped Europe's defense posture. Eastern European nations are demanding stronger military guarantees. NATO has expanded its presence along the eastern flank. At the same time, Europe is transitioning away from Russian energy supplies, a painful but strategic shift. However, cutting economic ties has economic consequences. Energy prices rose sharply. Industries faced pressure. Governments were forced to subsidize consumers. The EU now seeks long-term stability, but without reopening strategic vulnerabilities. If Russia is Europe's security challenge, China is its economic dilemma. China is one of the EU's largest trading partners. European industries rely on Chinese supply chains. At the same time, Brussels has grown concerned about trade imbalances, technology security, industrial subsidies, and political influence operations. The EU is trying to de-risk, not fully decouple. This means diversifying supply chains, investing in domestic semiconductor production, screening foreign investments, and protecting critical infrastructure. But Europe must move carefully. A full economic confrontation with China would damage European industries. So Brussels is walking a tightrope. The EU is not one voice. There are internal differences. Eastern members prioritize security against Russia. Southern members focus on economic recovery. Western members push for industrial competitiveness. Some governments favor stronger alignment with Washington. Others advocate greater independence. This makes decision-making slower, but also more democratic. The question remains, can the EU act decisively when unity is tested? Beyond security, Europe faces economic competition. The U.S. Inflation Reduction Act has attracted European companies to relocate. China's state-backed industries challenge European manufacturers. The EU's response includes strategic investment funds, green transition subsidies, and industrial policy reforms. Europe wants to remain competitive in electric vehicles, renewable energy, artificial intelligence, and advanced manufacturing. The geopolitical shift is not only military, it is economic. Some analysts argue the world is moving toward multipolarity. Instead of choosing between Washington and Beijing, Europe may attempt to become a third pole, a power center capable of independent diplomacy, stronger defense capacity, diversified trade partnerships, and balanced global engagement. But achieving this requires political unity, economic resilience, and strategic clarity. That remains Europe's challenge. Several scenarios are possible. Europe strengthens defense cooperation while staying within NATO. Trade tensions with China escalate gradually. Russia's war outcome reshapes security architecture. U.S. political shifts accelerate EU independence. What is certain is this: Europe can no longer operate on autopilot. The geopolitical environment is too unstable. This decade may determine Europe's future role in global politics. Will it remain primarily an economic union, or will it transform into a strategic power? The decisions being made today in Brussels, Berlin, Paris, and other capitals will shape global stability for years to come. Europe stands at a crossroads, and the world is watching.